Here. Hey, welcome to our YouTube Live today. That's also simulcast on Facebook. Blessed to be with you here this morning. I'm recording this and doing this live on a Tuesday morning in the beginning of May. And today it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to share something that's really a powerful teaching today, the never enough lie. And, just as we talk about the never enough lie, and I want to preface this message today is a barrier-breaking message. This message today has the potential of breaking off, all kinds of bad beliefs off of our lives. And the greatest messages also have the greatest potential for being misunderstood, being just taken advantage of in negative ways. And this is one of those. This is a message that some could use to justify doing their own thing, could justify being selfish. But I want to tell you this message has also the potential of taking you to a place that you never thought you could be. So, all right. Hey, just saying hi to some people on live. Paul, good morning. Jenny, good to see you recently. Yes, Jessica, Adele. What do you guys think of our new studio look? Our new studio look. My team yesterday worked on that, Annalisa and Vico, and we are excited to go to a new level. Now, just before we talk about the never enough lie, we just did our annual Abounding Hope and Joy Conference. Judy, who is on here on YouTube, was a part of that. And Wendy and I, we try to do one live event here in Redding every year. COVID took it off, so we didn't do it 2 years, but we did it this year at Hillside Church, and my, oh my, 2 days. So good. Had a live version, probably had about 150, 160, 70 in the room, and then I can't remember how many online, maybe 60, 70 or so, and it's wow. God showed up. We had a blowout joy meeting on Saturday night. Yep. And we're going to make that available for those who weren't able to be there. Some of you have the online version, and you're able to watch that again. If you attended, you'll receive soon the content. But if you weren't a part of that and you want to get that, you can go to you can just email us at info@ignitinghope.com. And it was good. Yes. Now, all right. So, the never enough lie. I did a blog on this recently, podcast a while back. You can find the podcast where I'll say some of the same things, but also I'm going to add a few things today. Now, here I write in the blog this. The never enough lie. There is a message that the enemy of our souls repeatedly speaks. It has effectively drained life and joy out of multitudes. The message comes in thoughts and words that are designed to drive us to be our own hard taskmasters, with our perceived failures ever before us. Behind it all, the enemy is saying something more damaging. He's saying this: you aren't doing enough right things to be worthy of being blessed, approved by the Father, or significant. You aren't doing enough right things. To be worthy to be blessed, approved by the Father, or significant. And then I share a list of things that we have all heard. You are not good enough. You are not committed to God enough. You are not giving enough. You are not sorry enough. Your family is not good enough. You don't love God enough. You don't have enough faith. You don't have enough education or skills. You haven't prayed, read your Bible, or fasted enough. You have not obeyed God enough. You have not forgiven enough. You have not shared the gospel enough. You have not given your loved ones enough time. You are not consistent enough. Now, we've all heard these things. And certainly we need to keep growing. Certainly we need to seek to improve. Certainly we need to be challenged. And I agree with that. But if we don't deal with the never enough lie, if we don't recognize it for what it is, no matter what we do, it will never be enough. We'll always have a sense of falling short. We will all have a sense of feeling like we're not worthy. It's a treadmill. It's a never-ending treadmill, and it's subtle. It's subtle because it's not met with deep depression, but it's a low-grade guilt that is most often what we experience. And yeah, I talk about that I'm on staff here at Bethel Church in Redding, California, and there are a lot of great people here. And I am so blessed by being a part of the Bethel Leaders Network, where people outside of Redding can connect with Bethel. And I think it's a great idea. If Bethel, Bill Johnson, Chris Valentin are, just people like that, people that you believe are the apostolic, prophetic leaders that you most look to, then connecting with this tribe is powerful. Because if you hang out with eagles, you'll become an eagle. Who you partner with in your lives, in your heart, and say, I'm a part of that family, and I'm going to receive and honor, and I'm going to do everything I can to push it forward, that's an attitude that's going to take you and that organization or ministry to a higher level. And certainly some of you have done that with Igniting Hope Ministries. You believe this is one of your key relational families and ministries to connect with and help us move forward, and also honor and receive the blessing that's on us. But one thing about being at Bethel is you hang out with a lot of eagles, and it exposes your non-eaglehood in areas. I mean, we have Wednesday staff meetings, and I listen to the testimonies of healing, salvation, breakthrough, just sacrifice. We've got teams in Ukraine right now who are doing just fantastic things, and courageous, going behind enemy lines, and I can listen. I can listen to that, and the never enough lie can creep in. I'm not supernatural enough. I'm not healing the sick enough. I'm not courageous enough. I'm not sharing the Lord enough. And so what happens is then what the Lord meant to inspire me, what he meant to use to just cause me to believe bigger and to celebrate the giftings and what's on other people. What has so often happened is I will allow it to become an indictment against me. That I'm not that, because I'm not that, or I'm not doing that. Then I am less than, there's something wrong with me, and it causes me to be unable to attach faith to what I'm doing. Faith to my future. Hey, if you're just jumping on right now, on our live version, we're talking about the never enough lie. We're talking about the tendency that so many have to be unable to attach faith to who they are and what they're doing because of a constant nagging feeling that we're not doing enough. We're not enough. And I'll say it again. That we need to be in healthy relationships with people. If we're abusing or hurting people, or we're reckless in our own behaviors, we need to get help. We need to get accountability. We need whatever we need. But the point that I'm making here is the enemy of our souls wants us to stay in a constant state that we are not enough, we're not doing enough, there's something wrong with us, we're not committed enough, we don't love God enough, we're not reading the Bible enough, we're not praying enough, we're not fasting enough, we're not expressing the Lord enough, we don't worship enough, we don't soak enough, we don't encourage people enough. And so again, in this culture here at Bethel, I have fought the battle. Simon, great to have you on here. I've fought the battle. I'm not enough. And I still fight the battle at times. We all hear it. And so when I hear great things, I celebrate, I get inspired, say, oh man, God, if that's something you want to have growing in me, then I am more than willing. But I know that what I'm called to do something significant. I'm not called to be exactly like that person. And I reaffirm what I'm to do. I reaffirm the season that I'm in. I reaffirm that I'm significant. And I'm writing a book right now, some of you are aware of, called Fully Convinced, The Art of Decision Making, How to Attach Faith to Everything That We Do, to Who We Are. And as I think about being fully convinced, because fully convinced is the goal. It is the goal of where we want to go in our identity beliefs, where we want to go in what we're doing, fully convinced that God loves us, fully convinced that we are enough and what Jesus did is enough. This teaching today, I said it in the beginning, this teaching today has the potential to unlock you in an incredible way. And it's been, for me to come to this place, and I'm still growing. I'm still growing, but I grew up in a culture where I became a follower of Jesus at age 19, and I grew up in a culture where I was constantly believing I wasn't committed to God enough. And the reason I wasn't having breakthrough was because there was something that I hadn't surrendered in my heart to the Lord. And again, that teaching is important, to surrender our hearts, to believe that he rose from the dead, and to call him Lord in our lives. But it worked against me, because the enemy wants to work with our sincerity and use our sincerity against us. Let me say that again. The enemy wants to work with our sincerity and use our sincerity against us. The most sincere Christians are often the most joyless. The most sincere Christians are often the most living in doubt about themselves and what they're doing, because their sincerity, it's at such a high level that they're just in a place of constantly doubting who they are and what they're doing. And so I grew up in a culture, man, okay, and so I did an excessive introspection. I got to find the one thing that I haven't found yet that's causing me to be unable to have breakthrough. And it's really tied into a teaching that I did recently as well. Should we feel good about ourselves? Should you feel good about yourself? Should I feel good about myself? That's a dangerous question. But for most of my life, no, I shouldn't feel good about myself. That's what I thought. But the answer is yes, we should. We should. I mean, in fact, because God feels good about us. He approves us. In that question, well, why don't I feel good about myself? I mean, certainly, again, I want to grow. Certainly, I've got regrets. I have things that, man, I wish were different. But I was afraid if I felt good about myself, that I would stop growing, that I would backslide. So I needed to keep myself in a constant state of low-grade guilt and negative feelings towards me so that I wouldn't backslide and do wrong things. Keep myself under control. And that may have some benefits, but they're small. They are not long lasting. Now, the same culture that created a Judas, the Jesus culture, the same culture that created, let me put it this way, the same culture that created 11 world changers created a Judas. If our goal as a leader is to prevent a Judas, we'll never have 11 world changers. And it's just the same if our goal in our own life is to prevent a Judas from happening in through us, and it's just to prevent bad things, then we'll never see the world changer come out of us. And so this whole lifestyle of trying to prevent wrong from happening, this lifestyle of trying to prevent wrong from happening, it is not going to work. This whole lifestyle of just trying to measure up to expectations for us that are not even in our calling, that are not even in our assignment, that we can't take that with us where we're going. This whole thing about never doing enough, never being enough, is we can't take that with us. Now, I'll say this again. Sincere Christians are often have the most difficulty in overcoming the never enough lie. Again, the greatest doctrines that we teach. This is a great doctrine right now I'm teaching. The greatest doctrine has the greatest potential for abuse. But we can't allow the potential of abuse or people interpreting it wrong. We can do whatever we can to say this is what I'm not saying, but we cannot allow the potential of abuse from others to stop us from pursuing those things and those beliefs that are going to most impact our lives, that are going to most cause the world changer, the history maker, to come out of us. It's the things I'm talking about today are dangerous in some way, but they have. The gospel of grace is dangerous. You teach grace to its fullest measure, it almost sounds like you're giving people permission to sin. It's not, but there's going to be people who are going to interpret it that way, but we can't stop believing in it and proclaiming it just because certain people are abusing it. Are abusing it. And so this whole thing, okay, man, trying to find what is it? Now, this is where we teach here at Igniting Hope, and we teach this in our transformational mind renewal course that we do every 5-month course starting every September. We're doing that now. It's our greatest content. It's a world-changing, history-making, transforming course. But we teach in there, that transformation doesn't come from surrendering your heart, it comes from surrendering your beliefs. Now, Romans 12:1 is so important, where we give our bodies as a living sacrifice, where we sacrifice our dreams, our heart, our will, our time, our money to the Lord. But if we're going to see transformation, then transformation is having the promises of God in our experience. If we're going to see transformation, it comes from renewing our mind. Transformation doesn't come from surrendering our hearts. It comes from surrendering our beliefs. Surrendering the beliefs that don't line up with what God's saying, that don't line up with our biblical identity, that don't line up with the finished work of the cross and how God sees us. And I love it, Stanley. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I like it. Yes, and Matthew, good to see you on here. Paul Wynn, yes, we can relate. So we surrender the beliefs. We Yeah, I used to only renew my mind with my feelings and my past experience. And that's it. That's what I thought was true. My past experience and my feelings. I thought that was the truth. No. We don't deny our feelings. We don't deny our past. We just don't get our beliefs from them. Because if we get our beliefs from our feelings and our past, then we're stuck, because we're agreeing with an inferior reality. So we surrender beliefs. And one belief to surrender is that I'm not doing enough. Well, Steve, what if I'm not doing enough? What if I'm not? Well, listen. Then that's gonna take us to our theology. Now, the Old Covenant, the Old Testament, it was all about us doing enough. And the point was we couldn't do enough. Sin is missing the mark. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Now, sin is missing the mark, missing the highest thing that God has in a particular area. And we've all sinned. And so Jesus came and lived a perfect life for us. He did not miss the mark. And then he became the perfect sacrifice for us. His blood was shed for us so that we wouldn't have to experience the consequences of sin. And so we get everything that he deserved through his sinless life, and he got everything that we deserved put on him on the cross for our life of sin. That's what we call good news. We call that good news. And so we're asking the question, you're saying, Steve, the never enough lie. Well, what if I'm not doing enough? Hang in there. Take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. You're going to be okay. We start this conversation by focusing in on the fact that Jesus did enough. Jesus did enough. Jesus, it is finished. And we ground ourselves in that I'm blessed not because of what I've done, but because of what Jesus did. I'm righteous not because of what I've done, because of what Jesus did. I'm powerful because of what Jesus did. I'm forgiven because of what Jesus did. Jesus did enough for me. Jesus did enough. Tom, the lid is off. By the way, great to see you. Great to see you in Reading at our conference. Thanks for being such an important part of us. Yes, Paul, that's awesome news. It's awesome. So I must ground myself in New Covenant theology and get it deep within me. Get it deep within. Yes, and I'll tell you this, Joseph Prince has got some great books, great teaching. There's other teachers like that Wendy and I, we just say, you know what? We just need another infusion of Joseph Prince. And make sure we've got the grace message down. Make sure we understand it. Make sure that we're not slipping back into focusing on our works for how I think and what I'm believing for. Now, so yeah, you say, well, what if I'm not doing enough? Again, we come back to Jesus. And then there has to come a point where we rest in what he's doing. And where that gets strong within us. Then we go, okay, then we say, all right, Lord, I'm grounded on the finished work of the cross. I'm grounded on my biblical identity. I'm grounded upon that he's done enough. Now, thank you for taking me on a journey of my own individual relationship with you. My own individual relationship with you. Thank you for breaking off me legalism, religious expectations that are not in line with your word. And then I look at the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, etc., self-control, all of the things that indicate whether I'm plugged into him. And so if I'm finding behaviors out of my life that I don't like, if I'm finding just negative fruits that are also mentioned in Galatians 5, then what I need to do is I need to first make sure I'm plugged in, make sure that my beliefs are right, because that's where the plug is, my beliefs in the finished work. And then I'm going to go on a journey with the Lord in those areas of hearing his heart, making sure I realize I'm loved, get good people in my life that I need. But I'm going to make sure I'm breaking off the lie that I'm never enough, that I'm not doing enough. Now, there's an interesting verse in Romans 14 where it says, let me find this. Happy is he who does not condemn himself in what he approves. This is Romans 14:23. Happy is he who does not condemn himself in what he approves. That's a verse that talks about happy is he who does not condemn himself in what he approves. It's a great question, Samantha. I'll get to that in just a moment. The whole chapter of Romans 14 is about what we decide, talking about not being a stumbling block to others, etc., but where we are become fully convinced about what we're doing or not doing. And it says, happy is the man who does not condemn himself in what he approves. Now, it says so I'm happy if I don't condemn myself in what I approve. Now, ultimately, at some point, and here's the question, Samantha, how do we tell if we are doing enough versus being lukewarm because Jesus wants us to do more? Now, ultimately, we are going to need to decide whether we're lukewarm or not. Now, I'll tell you this. I believe, and again, this is something for you to pray. This is how I think. In Romans 6:11, it says, consider yourself dead to sin and alive to God. All right, so I consider myself dead to being lukewarm. I consider myself being dead to compromise and being alive to God. See, it's the never enough lie will never be on fire enough. Will never be committed enough. And so I am going to get a belief that's in line. I'm dead to sin. I'm dead to missing the mark. Romans 6:11. And And I'm going to believe that I'm committed. You say, well, what if I'm not committed? But listen, I believe this teaching right here is a teaching that obviously in the amount of time that I have to talk about this is something that we are each going to work out with the Lord. And my point that I want to make here, and what I'm trying to do in this, and I'm not going to be able to answer every question that might come up on this, but the point that I want to make is that we never deal with the never enough lie, and we live in a constant state of believing we're not committed enough, not doing enough, don't love God enough, and we never deal with that thing, then that lack of dealing with that is going to put a lid on our lives. Because there has to come a point where we become confident in our relationship with God, confident in who we are in Him, confident that Jesus has done enough. And I love this, and I love the chat. Isn't that just a spirit of fear? It is a spirit of fear it's a frequently unthought of spirit of fear, that we're afraid that we're not in right relationship with God. Wow. I just say, Holy Spirit, thank you for those who are watching live. Thank you for those who are watching this recording. And this is an important message. This is an important message. Romans 14 is a powerful chapter. It's a powerful chapter. And I believe that as we meditate on it, we meditate on verse 5 of Romans 14, we meditate on verse 22. I think it's verse 22, I should have said. Happy is he who does not condemn himself, is verse 22 of Romans 14. And then the verse 23 is whatever is not done of sin, or of faith is sin. And the point is, and that's just what I want to, that's a verse that scared me in the sense, whatever is not of faith is sin. But the opposite, whatever is not of faith is missing the mark, is a better way of saying it, because we're going to miss the mark. We're going to miss the mark if we can't attach faith to what we're doing. And this is where I'm going. This is what I'm writing about in my book, Fully Convinced. If we cannot attach faith to who we are, the season we're in, what we're doing, then we're missing the mark. And this is a message that helps us to address some things that cause us to miss the mark. Wow. Some of you have been commenting on our studio. Yep, I like it. New studio look. This is so good. Yep, Tom, you say sin is not the problem, revelation is. Whoo. Hey, just want to make you aware of a couple things here. Connie Jones, Reigning in Life, her course is starting in about a week or so, a week and a half. And it's a powerful course. Wendy, my wife, is on there with her. It's a 5-6 week course. Great content, Reigning in Life. If you want a faith booster, a hope booster, and you want to connect with other people in community during her doing that course together, then go to ignitinghopeacademy.com and find Reigning in Life. And then my brother Phil and I, Dr. Phil Backlund, we are doing the course, The Culture of Empowerment, this summer, starting the first Monday in June for 12 weeks, 3 to 4 hours a week. That course is made for people on the go. All of our courses are that way. And the Culture of Empowerment course for leaders, emerging leaders. My goal is not to build a big organization, but to build big people. That's the heart of that. Talks about how to build big people in your home, in your business, in government, in church, and whatever leadership place you are. That is going to be a great course. We'll have community as well, Q&A times with Phil and I. That's coming up. Hey, if you like what you're hearing here, just stay with us here on this YouTube channel, or you can certainly get our weekly email with the podcast and blog on there by going to ignitinghope.com and signing up for our newsletter so you'll know what's happening. Thank you, Sherry, for that encouragement. Judy, thank you for being on here and encouraging in the chat, the YouTube chat, so much. I love it, Anna. You say holiness is attained only through an unfolding experience with the grace of God. I love that. Terry, you said I need to hear this a bunch of times. And I'll say this again. This is a opening up. This is opening up something that I believe the Lord's going to give you revelation on. You're going to figure it out. Samantha, I'm not planning on being in Utah anytime soon. I don't have that scheduled. You can find our itinerary on our website, ignitinghope.com, our upcoming itinerary. Megan, thank you so much for saying you needed this. You, Megan, I see you having a new covenant revelation and breakthrough that's going to explode in this. And Romans 6:11 is going to explode in your spirit, as is Hebrews 10:14. Those two verses, Hebrews 10:14 and Romans 6:11. For you, yes. Don, I want to just give you a word. The answer for you, Don, is found in 1 Peter 3. Arla, thank you. Thank you. Yes, thanks for encouraging us about the life-changing weekend. It was wonderful. All right, everybody. Connie Jones will be on this YouTube channel tomorrow, streamed also on Facebook. Hey, we're building up our YouTube channel. And so, yeah, please go over there. Check that out. Igniting Hope YouTube. Bless you, Sherry. Yep, Dave Smith, welcome. Yep, I missed the mark on that scripture verse, Judy. Thank you. All right, everybody. God bless you.